I'm student meteorologist Jason Ducker.
Yes, and I'm student meteorologist Nita Vlad. How are you guys doing today out there?
Well, it looked like today more cloudy day than usual. Still quite nice, I would say. Dry air still in the region. Cold front, though, if you look out on the radar, another system may be coming through.
Yeah, most definitely. Aren't we expecting a little bit of fog coming into the next morning or so?
Certainly the forecast. National Weather Service has issued a patchy fog advisory from 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. So, folks, if you are going out for that early morning drive to work, I do suggest you keep the low beams on. It could be some patchy fogs in low-lying areas.
And watch out for those buses as well and kids crossing the street if you're going out early around 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, as that fog will be very dense at that time.
Of course, really bottom line, just slow down slightly if you get into more patchy fog areas. Viewing out though, heading into the weekend, what are we expecting?
A drier weather, but we could be seeing approaching, maybe seeing a slight increase in a chance of rain, but probably nothing to worry about.
Chance of rain slightly in the forecast for the weekend. I would say a more humid though, a lot cloudier weekends. Not exactly the weekend we would expect when a cold front passes through.
Yeah, we're not going to be looking to go out to the beach anytime this weekend if you're looking to get rays. But if you were just looking for pictures.
Well, weather in the forecast, though, for those folks that like that colder weather, next Wednesday potentially may have a strong cold front with some of those winter-like temperatures in the forecast. So something to look forward to going the next week. But heading out to the overview, Ryan, talk about what's happening around the nation.
Hey guys, what's coming down the pipeline in the immediate future is this giant feature taking up the entire center part of the country, kind of like a backwards sea here, of rain and heavy showers extending all the way from the Rio Grande Valley of Texas up through the Great Lakes regions of the United States. The East Coast looking mainly good for now, pretty clear. Lots of mixed clouds and sun, especially for the southeast and the Big Bend of Florida. Those rain chances are going to go up as that front pushes towards the east. But will it impact your forecast? We'll get into that in the upcoming minutes, and you'll have to stay tuned. Clouds on the increase, though, as that system moves into the southeast. A humid weekend ahead. The humidity is sticking around. We've got tapping into some of the moisture off the east coast, and as that frontal system pushes into the southeast, we're really going to work up that moisture. Slight rain chances work into the forecast. In the meantime, though, 67 degrees for tonight, mild and comfortable. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thank you, Ryan. We do have another story about things got slightly shaky this morning for the Philippines.
Yes, they did. Central Philippines, the island of Bohol and the city of Cebu was struck with a 7.1 magnitude earthquake at 8:12 this morning. The death toll has risen from 77 to 93 confirmed deaths. That is a tragedy across the area. But we're looking safe here in the States.
That's a good fortunate thing. Hearts go out, and of course prayers go out to the 97 deaths in the Central Philippines. A quite shaky start for there in the morning, but really Tallahassee, though, thankfully, we didn't have no earthquake, no nothing sort of like that. More of a moderate, cloudy start, you can say.
Yeah, it got cloudy. It got really, really sunny around noon, 1 o'clock, and then those clouds started to gather as we headed back into the evening hours.
Forecast we'll be seeing the next couple of days, I would per se. But hold on, we're going to be going on to our next local, though. Coming up here, we'll just go ahead and take it out to the wall of our next local.
Well, thanks, guys. We're going to jump into our weather headlines. What we can expect in the next few days, those clouds are going to increase as that cold front Ryan was alluding to earlier approaches us. We'll have a more humid weekend, but after we survive that weekend, I think our temperatures could start dropping off into next Thursday. But for this weekend, we could see some slight chances of rain in the area. Currently, though, at the local radar and satellite and radar showing us some storms pushing through Jacksonville, but Tallahassee, we stayed relatively quiet today. To our eastern viewing area today, they saw a lot of cloud coverage, so their highs didn't really get into the 80s. But for us, we did. We reached a high of 82 degrees today. This almanac is wrong, so that won't go in the record books, but the high of 82. Well, currently at the airport, we're right at where our high was, 81 degrees, mostly cloudy skies in the area. Those clouds will linger as we make our way into the night, and we could see some fog early tomorrow morning, so be wary of that if you do have the early morning commute. Satellite showing no rain in the area, but a lot of cloud coverage, especially into Jefferson County, into Thomas County up in Georgia, as well into Perry and Madison counties, so be wary of that. Cloud coverage in the area, which keep those lows, or those highs, excuse me, only in the 70s. Current temperatures all across the Big Bend, 81 in Quincy, 81 degrees up in Bainbridge, 82 down in St. Marks, and 79 degrees in Carabel as we make our way towards those eastern viewing area, though 73 in Perry and 76 degrees up in Valdosta, some cooler temperatures in that region. What we have in store for the next few days, we have that low pressure system spinning off the coast of Jacksonville, which will bring some showers into the area. As we make our way into tomorrow, the high pressure system will start digging in and will start dominating our weather for the next few days. As the stingy front will start making its way, we'll have some foggy skies into Wednesday morning, and that cold front will start approaching us. We'll have some moisture in the area increasing as we make our way into Wednesday through Friday of later into this week. Now, as we jump into our next graphic, we're going to jump into the how you doing? Sorry, my clicker won't work. There we go. Futurecast radar showing we'll stay relatively quiet throughout the next few days. Staying relatively quiet. I don't think those rains will really push through, and then you'll see the Futurecast start bringing in the storms pushing through, so we could see some rain in the next few days. But as we jump into our beach forecast, look at that. Our winds will mainly be out of the east at 5 miles per hour. That surf kicking up to 1 foot. Those waters are starting to drop down and getting into 80 degrees. Boating forecast, same story. Winds out of the east at 5 knots. Waves kicking up only to 1 foot. Smooth waters ahead, so some smooth sailing for us. 67 degrees is what we're calling for tonight. Mild with comfortable skies. We'll have some patchy fog, and I think that will linger around starting at around 5 in the morning, and will stay till around 10 o'clock in the morning. So if you have that early morning commute, make sure you're aware of that. Have those low beams on. We'll start off at 64 degrees as we make our way into the lunch hour. We'll start getting some peaks of sunshine, reaching 73 degrees, and as we make our way home from work tomorrow, those temperatures will be at 82 degrees, but those clouds will dominate throughout the day. 7-day forecast, though, showing us those highs are going to start increasing before that cold front starts approaching our area. Those highs will be into the mid-80s for the next few days. Our rain chances start amping up as we make our way into Monday and Tuesday. But I'm going to swing things over to Casey as he takes us around the southeast.
Thanks so much, Jack. Let's go ahead and take a look in that southeast forecast. We see what currently watches and warnings are in effect in parts of Louisiana, also parts of Arkansas. There's currently a flash flood watch for areas like Pine Bluff, Arkansas at the present time. Now, current temperatures-wise, we see 81 degrees in Tallahassee at this hour. Now, areas to the north and west, though, Montgomery sitting at 74 degrees, a little bit cooler, and you can see that there is a cool front that's starting to try to work its way into this part of the country. It's going to gradually do so as we see Little Rock a little bit cooler, 67 degrees. Now, dew point values right now mainly in the 60s across the southeast, 62 in Tallahassee, 61 in Montgomery, and 68 in New Orleans. Now, water vapor, this graphic shows the upper level moisture content in the upper levels of the atmosphere. We don't see too much in the way of green, which would indicate moisture, but we do see some white, which is some beginnings of some moisture to be indicated. Now, current wind speeds at the present time, 7 miles per hour in Tallahassee. Areas to the northeast, Savannah, 6 miles an hour. Wind's not too big of a factor right now in the forecast. Satellite and radar, across the region, we see not too much going on in Tallahassee. High pressure, somewhat in control, clear conditions, but we do see that we have some moisture around the areas around the First Coast and Jacksonville. They're getting into some moisture right now from a weak disturbance, a low pressure system in that area. Now, Futurecast, we see that low pressure system off the coast of Jacksonville. That's not going to affect our weather, but we do see a cool front that will affect our weather. Also, some fog that will occur between 5 and 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. So make sure you drive safely if you're going across the area. Now, a cool front that will increase the moisture in our area and the clouds as well. We'll also keep our eyes on some humid conditions, but in terms of tonight's forecast, 65 degrees in Tallahassee, and tomorrow, 86 degrees. Right now, we'll take it back to the desk, though, with Nina and Jason.
Thank you, Casey. We're going to the next story. Well, maybe some of the first snow flurries this week for the upper Midwest.
Yeah, it's looking very exciting if you're into the snow and into the flurries and snowmen and the holidays approaching. But are we going to see any cold weather here in Tallahassee?
Not just yet. Maybe in the forecast of some low 50s going to next week. Still a little too far in advance, but back into our story, though. That low pressure system that we're seeing spinning up into the northern plains will be shifting its way into the Great Lakes. And what usually happens, get some of that cold Canadian air coming down from the north, and on top of that, The warm waters are still present around the Great Lakes, so a mixture of that will bring some, of course, snow flurries with low pressure system. So we're expecting snow flurries in northern portions of Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Expecting, of course, their first snow flurries of the winter.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. We're going to send it back out to Ryan with the rest of the look around the nation.
Behind the front, we've been talking about that for the past couple segments. Flash flood watches extending from the Rio Grande, the Big Bend of Texas, all the way up through Austin, San Antonio, extending into the Ouachita region of Arkansas. So rain extending all the way up through the Great Lakes, and behind it, cool air. We've got frost and freeze advisories for the eastern plains of Colorado and Kansas, extending down into the Texas Panhandle, where cooler temperatures are taking over. 24-hour temperature changes. Look at all these darker colors. These are the extreme side of the range for cooler air. It was 13 degrees. It is 13 degrees cooler in Dallas right now than it was 24 hours ago yesterday. And this is the case across the entire center part of the country, whereas the east is looking pretty warm compared to the center of the nation. We've got rain. You can see heavy rain extending from Texas all the way through Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, through Chicago, Milwaukee, and some wraparound moisture through Minneapolis, St. Paul, extending into the northern plains, the Dakotas. And behind it, as Jason and Nina were talking about, we've got a few lingering showers across the higher elevations of the Rocky Mountains. So cool air in the center part of the country. On the east coast, though, we've got dry areas along the immediate coast, but some cloudiness extending for much of the eastern part of the country, and that's going to persist as that front makes its way towards the east coast. We'll take you across the upper Midwest. Showers and cloudiness for the Twin Cities in Minnesota and extending into South Dakota. The Black Hills looking a little bit cloudy and rainy. We've got some wraparound moisture extending through the Chicagoland, and we'll take you down farther the Mississippi River Valley, zooming out. St. Louis getting in on the action. Paducah down through Memphis, Little Rock extending into the Dallas Metroplex. All of this is going to be pushing towards the east, and behind it some cool, clear conditions. Across the nation, airport delays, we're not looking at much in the way across the east. We could be dealing with a little bit of a slowdown with some traffic and low clouds in Atlanta. The west coast, though, looking pretty good now. No low clouds to speak of in San Francisco or Los Angeles, but everybody looking pretty good. So even though we've got this rain through the center part of the country, we've got green lights for the major hubs in Chicago, Dallas, so American Airlines, United Airlines, everybody looking pretty good. In the meantime, though, Nina is going to take a look at the local forecast. We're looking pretty good there. What do you think about that, Nina?
Thank you very much, Ryan. Yeah, we are going to be seeing fantastic temperatures across the board. Satellite radar in the area is going to be fantastic. There's nothing out there in the area, but we will see current conditions in Tallahassee is going to be a beautiful 81 degrees at the moment, mostly cloudy skies, as those clouds have been building into the day, and we did see clouds into the morning across the area. But the dew point is starting to rise a little bit, 53%. It's kind of starting to get a little bit stickier. It is still dry by summer standards, and we will see current temperatures across the board, 79 in Bainbridge, 81 in Quincy, 81 in Tallahassee, and 81 in St. Mark's. A little bit cooler down at the coast, 77 in Carabel, because those temperatures in the area are a little bit cooler because of the sea breeze that they are getting off the coast. Dew points in the area are on the rise because of that low pressure system and the high pressure system dominating in the central plains. 64 degrees in Quincy, 62 in Tallahassee, and 65 in St. Mark's. Now, because that dew point is getting progressively higher, that is what is going to cause the fog that we are expecting as we head into the futurecast. We will see high pressure system over Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee area. It's going to move down, pushing in that fog in the morning, possibly between 6 and 10 a.m. tomorrow. So if you are driving, you want to be careful and watch out, because on the coast as well, there is a low pressure system bringing rain to the eastern seaboard, but we're not going to be seeing much of that rain in Tallahassee. As we kick this futurecast into motion, we are going to see that it is going to push further east, that high moving onto the eastern seaboard, pushing off those rain chances for places like Charleston and Jacksonville and things like that. High pressure moving in, bringing moisture, clouds increasing as we head into the weekend. Chances of rain increasing very, very slightly. Nothing to worry about there, though, as we head into the rest of the weekend and the week. But humidity is going to increase a little bit. Mostly dry, cold front. Temperatures are going to decrease slightly as we head into the rest of the weekend and next week. but we will see futurecast radar. Nothing much to worry about in the Panhandle area. A little bit of offshore moisture and showers and a little bit of moisture in the Orlando region tomorrow at some point. That high pressure system, as it moves through, is going to bring a line of showers, but those showers are going to dissipate as they head toward Tallahassee. Tonight, a low of 67, beautiful outside, mild and comfortable, a little bit warmer than it has been because of that low temperature, because of the low-lying clouds in the area. Now, if you are going out tomorrow, please be careful in the morning because of the fog. 84 degrees as a high will be fantastic. Fog until around 10 a.m. Nothing much to worry about when it comes to the temperature outside, but we will see a 7-day forecast as I step out of the way. Fantastic outside. Wednesday, again, 84. Thursday, 86. Friday, a little bit slightly increase of rain chances, but we aren't going to be seeing too much to worry about. Now let me send it back to the desk with Jason and Casey.
Thanks so much, Nina. On this day in weather history in 1984, in Denver, Colorado, on a Monday night football game, there was a raging blizzard in that region. 9 to 15 inches of snow occurred in Denver.
Yeah, the Green Bay Packers came on in. Well, first of all, in Wisconsin, they get snow to begin with, so Packers were a little too surprised. The Packers went on into Denver Broncos, played a Monday night football game. In the middle of the football game, well, that winter storm came out of nowhere. It was at 15 inches around Denver and then 34 inches into the mountains. That was a very, very strong storm. A lot of snow, of course.
Absolutely. And also on this day in weather history, in 1947, a hurricane reversed course. This was off the coast of Georgia, off the coast of Savannah, in fact. This was considered the first seeded hurricane. But right now, we're going to go ahead and take it back over to the wall with Ryan.
Yeah, we'll take a look around the state of Florida. No hurricanes to speak of, so that's good news there. But off the Jacksonville coast, we've got something of interest. A small-scale low-pressure system off the northeast coast of Florida. Been really hammering the northeast coast of Florida, Jacksonville, St. Augustine, Fernandina Beach, all of these regions getting inundated with showers, cloudiness all day long. The main issue with this is going to be some coastal flooding. So we've got coastal flood advisories for the immediate northeast coast of Florida. But for the rest of the state, Florida Panhandle looking pretty good, other than the occasional mix of sun and clouds. But the south part of Florida, the peninsula, looking pretty good, holding up to its name, the Sunshine State right now. 80 degrees in Orlando, 80 in Tampa. A little bit warmer where we've got most of the sunshine in South Florida, the southern peninsula, staying in the mid-80s, 85 in Fort Myers, 83 in Miami. A little bit cooler where we have the cloud cover, 70 degrees in Jacksonville, 81 with a little more sunshine in Tallahassee and Pensacola, bringing in the rest of us at 79 degrees with sunshine there. We're staying pretty moist across most of the state with dew points in the mid to upper 60s. The water vapor showing you the general flow out of the north aloft in the atmosphere. These whites and grays just mean, well, there's a whole lot of moisture in all parts of the atmosphere. So we're not going to get any relief as far as dry air is concerned in the immediate future with this. So expect the clouds and the scattered showers around the state for the next couple of days. Winds out of the north across northern Florida, a little bit light and variable across most of the state. No big features to really discuss right now. We've got a ridge extending down into the Panhandle. That's what gave us the clear morning this morning in Tallahassee. But along the east coast, we've got Jacksonville really getting inundated with these coastal showers from this low, which will eventually exit off as this cold front makes its approach. And the rest of us stay pretty clear as opposed to just a mix of sun and clouds. So that's good news for us there. Tonight's forecast across most of the state, 65 in Tallahassee, 64 in Jacksonville, 69 in Orlando, 70 in Tampa, mostly 60s and 70s, 74 in Miami this evening. And tomorrow, 86 in Tallahassee, 82 in Jacksonville. We're going to stick around in the mid to upper 80s, warming up across the southeast. So we're going to be feeling pretty warm for October. 88, almost 90 in Tampa. So it's going to be a hot day out at the theme parks. Southern Florida for you, a little bit cooler, 85 in Key West because we're close to the water, but almost 90 degrees in Fort Myers as well. In the meantime, though, Jack's going to take it close to home. How's Tallahassee looking, Jack?
Well, actually, Ryan, I'm going to take us around the nation. It's all good, though. I like Tallahassee, too. And we're staying relatively quiet there, 83 degrees. We have a pocket of cool air in the Colorado region, 42 in Denver, and 54 degrees in Salt Lake City. I want you guys to remember this 85 degree in San Antonio because that cold front's going to push through. I don't think San Antonio will reach 70 tomorrow. It shows you how much of a power punch a cold front can have. Cold front, though, is draping all these storms across the mid parts of America through Texas all the way up to Minneapolis. You see the swirl of the low pressure system just south of Minneapolis, bringing some snow into Colorado, into Denver, into Aspen. Great time for ski season, right, folks? We're going to jump into our local radar, though, and we're going to jump into Texas. Actually, our watches and warnings, we have flood warnings into Texas, and we zoom into Texas, you see some storms pushing through into Dallas, San Antonio as well, making its way through Fort Worth. You could see up to a ½ an inch to an inch locally, so there's a lot of flood concerns in that region as well. Also, as we make our way into Denver, some storms pushing through into Rapid City. Wyoming staying relatively quiet, but as we make our way down the Rockies, Denver staying quite wet out there. Get some snow and higher elevations. The lower you go, though, you see some rain in the region. Back home, though, staying relatively quiet in Tallahassee. Futurecast shows us in the next few days that we have a storm that's going to start developing with that cold front. But I think by the time the cold front starts making its way into our region, it will start dying down. You can see it starting to get its act together as it makes its way into Panama City and the rest of the Panhandle, but it'll start dying down. You only see yellows in the range, so it won't be as severe as it will see in New Orleans and even into the most western part of the Panhandle into Pensacola and areas like that. Tonight's forecast, so cool pocket of air into Denver. 25 degrees will be the low tonight, so a brisk, chilly weather up there. 31 degrees up in Billings, 34 in Salt Lake City. We'll have a low of 42 in Seattle. Lows getting a little higher, though, as we make our way into Texas. 60 degrees will be a low in San Antonio, 53 in Dallas, 41 degrees up in Minneapolis, 61 in Memphis, 68 down in New Orleans. Some warmer temperatures for us here in the southeast. Tallahassee will be getting down to 65 degrees. Tomorrow's forecast, though, remember that high we were talking about in San Antonio? Look at this. They're only going to get up to 63 in San Antonio. You see where that cold front is by this gradient wind, where those cool colors, if you guys remember our elementary art classes, those greens and those yellows are very chilly. 55 in Denver, 50 degrees in Billings, 82 degrees, though, in Phoenix. So the farther south you go, the warmer you are. For us here in Tallahassee, we'll be at 86 degrees there, 76 in Atlanta, and 75 degrees in Washington, D.C., and we'll see a high of 87 degrees in Miami. But I'm going to swing things back to the desk with Jason and Casey.
Thank you, Jack. We're having a story about the more or less the Western Pacific. They have a lot of activity tropics-wise. Fortunately for the Atlantic, we didn't have much tropics activity. However, though, Eastern Japan is going to be hit later tonight into tomorrow morning by what's called Typhoon Whippa.
Absolutely. In those areas, they could see some very serious conditions in terms of 70-mile-an-hour winds possible. Areas like Honshu, Japan. This is on the eastern greater areas of Tokyo, in fact. Could see these conditions that could impact be very serious.
Well, fortunately, it's not going to make a direct landfall into Tokyo. The expected Atlantic track is to barely skim the eastern portions of Japan. Even around 35 million people could be affected from the storm. So a lot of power outages concerned. The good thing is, though, had a cold front make its way through, and it's pushing the hurricane, or excuse me, the typhoon in Western Pacific. So the good projected thing is only Category 1 with winds up to 75 miles an hour is a projection, and at least the strongest gusts they're expecting. So that is certainly the good portion of a not a very strong hurricane or typhoon, they say, in Western Pacific hitting Tokyo per se.
Absolutely, but right now we're going to go ahead and take it over to the local. Jason's going to give us an update on the forecast for Tallahassee.
That's right, Casey. Let's go ahead and look at the current conditions around Tallahassee, moderating more so less. We have, of course, those clouds have been persisting, as we've been telling you throughout the show. Yes, cloud cover is one of the big things going to the next few days. Now, current conditions, though, 81 degrees, mostly cloudy around Tallahassee. Dew point around 62 degrees, which factor in 53% humidity. So the humidity is slightly on the rise. However, though, very pleasant today still. Still feeling that drier air. Once again, it'll be next up in a couple days, though. Current conditions around most of the Big Bend region, moderating out to the low 80s. Quincy sitting at 77 degrees. Like I said, Tallahassee, of course, at 81 degrees. Now, the dew points are going to broadening out a little to the southeast portions of the United States. Really see just far back ahead, 71-degree dew point in Shreveport, New Orleans. This is a good indication of where that rain showers is. So behind those rain showers is much smaller dew points, which means, of course, that dry air, once again, could be making its way into our region. Now, let's look ahead just off to the western portions. A lot of rain associated to New Orleans, Texas, Arkansas, of course, with that cold front. But most of Tallahassee, though, is now beginning to see some cloud cover make its way through as that cold front approaches. But once again, though, not seeing any rain chances into the forecast. Now, futurecast, like I said, high pressure system in control most of southeast. We have this little low off into the Atlantic, though. Some slight showers, though, for eastern portions of the Atlantic coast. And as I put this in motion, going into early portions tomorrow morning, like we said, fog advisory out from 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. So we're expecting that fog. And next click, of course, that cold front makes its way into Wednesday and Thursday. We'll be seeing those moisture and clouds on the increase, and this is the cycle we'll be seeing going to next few days. Humidity, like I said, it's going to be on the rise. So ladies, of course, the hair will get a little frizzy at times going into the weekends. But overall, mostly dry cold front, not expecting that rain per se as we think from a cold front. Now, the futurecast radar, of course, one of the models are indicating the same exact thing, whereas we're seeing here, mostly eastern portions of the coast expecting showers as that cold front makes its way into Thursday and Friday, though. We're seeing these pockets of not much rain, which is a good indicator of the cold front beginning to dry out energy-wise. That's what helps, of course, give those showers a bump up. Now, tonight's forecast, 67 degrees, mild and comfortable. Like I said, the patchy fog beginning at 5 a.m. until 10 a.m. tomorrow morning is when we see that fog begin to finally condense out. 84 degrees, though, we're expecting for tomorrow's forecast. Heading the next 7 days, of course, we're not seeing much rain chances, I would say, until Saturday and Sunday is when that front begins to make its way and approach. Stalls out, though, until Monday and Tuesday when the front begins to make its way out of the region. And then after that, well, Casey, we were explaining before, could see some much cooler winter-like temperatures in the forecast.
Absolutely, cooler temperatures for us, and also cooler temperatures up in Clemson, South Carolina, as there's a big ACC battle between FSU and Clemson on Saturday night at 8 p.m. up there. Jason, what are the weather conditions going to look like?
Well, weather conditions, the low for Clemson's around into the low 40s at night. So around game time, 8 p.m., I'd say going to the high mid-50s. So Knowles, especially the football players, it'd be a little chilly out there. I think good conditions, though. We're not seeing into the 30s, 20s, something a little unbearable, I think, for us Floridians. But, however, though, of course, big game day coming up. Big game, I would say, overall on Saturday. Number 5, Florida State versus number 3, Clemson.
Absolutely, that's a huge game up there for FSU. Cool conditions in that area. A big game up there in the state of South Carolina, in fact. So make sure you enjoy that game and watch that game that's up there in the state of South Carolina.
Of course, students, I would say, if you're heading your way up there, I'd say bring a jacket for the game around 50 degrees, and into the night we'll get into the 40s. So certainly, Tally, if you want to bring that. But otherwise, look at the 7-day forecast, though. We do have going to Friday and Saturday, we begin to see those chances of rain. Monday and Tuesday, though, we're expecting that greatest chance of rain, Casey.
Absolutely. We'll watch that very closely. Temperatures by then, lower 80s. But make sure you like us on Facebook.com/FSU Weather. Follow us on Twitter.com/FSU Weather. And you can watch the FSU Weather Show at any time on Livestream.com/FSU Weather. I'm Casey Cloud.
I'm meteorologist Jason Ducker. Have a great evening, folks, and watch out for that fog in the morning.